Hello and welcome to Andre's YouTube vlog for April 12th, 2011. This is actually going to be a very interesting vlog for me because this is the last time I'm probably ever going to be wearing this t-shirt. It's a t-shirt I never wore much when I got it because it was always too big for me, and it's actually the exact opposite now. I got it when I was 14, during the same year that this series premiered, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. See that? That's the t-shirt. It's got some great graphics of the space station on there, if you can see it. And I've always been a Star Trek fan, as you know from other vlogs that I've done. And space, in a word, is what I wanted to discuss with all of you today, because this is the 50th anniversary, the half-century mark that a human being first orbited this world. And that person was Yuri Gagarin, a cosmonaut from the Soviet Union, who at the time were our adversary. And there was a great deal of competition between our space program and the Russians at the time that, as you all know, was called the space race. And as a child, between the ages of 6 and 14, I was always rather caught up in the romanticism of the space race. Not necessarily the politics of it, but just the idea of human beings for the first time seeing the planet from a whole new light. I just wanted to make some observations today about the nature of the space program then versus now. A lot of people today think that the space program is something for nerds or, boring people. But the fact is, I don't think anything in the world could possibly be cooler. I mean, just the idea of space itself, despite what anybody may think now, actually inspired social change. There was a picture taken by the astronauts of the Apollo 10, I believe, called Earthrise, which allegedly inspired the first Earth Day, the first ever concept of human beings being concerned about their own environment. And that's why I think today it concerns me to a degree when people talk about trying to correct our social problems here on Earth before we actually engage in any space travel. And with plans for a manned-Mars mission within the next 20 or 30 years on the horizon, that thought is kind of people's minds more than ever. But the facts I see it are this. For the past 30 or 40 years, the entire world has really neglected its space program. We have a space station, but it took a lot longer to make than we originally planned, and it's substantially inferior, honestly, to our original plans. And it required international cooperation. Not that I have any problem with that. I think that's a good idea. But I don't think our space program today inspires humanity to change and to grow and to make positive strides the way that it did before. And that's why I believe, and always will, that space exploration is something that we really need in order to make our world a better place, to look at our planet from another perspective, and perhaps jettison, like the stages of a rocket ship, some of the arrogance we have about being the only life as we know it in the universe and all of that. And that's why, when I was younger, like a lot of young people, I wanted to go into space, but not to become an astronaut. The science really wasn't all that interesting to me. I was hoping to be one of the first people to journey outside our solar system with a camera and with a paint palette, brush, and canvas, and paint and photograph the unknown from a human perspective. And maybe the first signs of life from another place, perhaps. And I don't think now that it was a fantasy. I've always been a fan of thoughtful science fiction like Star Trek here, or Stanley Kubrick's 2001, or Space Odyssey, or things like that. And I think it's brought to mind a lot of hope. And I've found that as my hope in the space program has diminished over the years by seeing it in such decline now compared to the way it was during the time of Yuri Gagarin's space flight and then later John Glenn's flight in this country, that when I think of space exploration and a happy future for it, it brings a little hope back to me. And I think if humanity realized that, and if our country realized that, and our government realized that a healthy space program is within our budget, and that will fascinate the public like it did back then, the social change that we always worry about on our planet will come based on that idea that it's a big universe out there, and we are only a small part of it. And that, I think, is an important element of the romanticism of space. This is Andre's vlog for April 12th, 2011, signing out.